David, I'm sorry, just to confirm, because I've got a lot of video of you not talking. So could you just say a few lovely words for this test recording, just to be sure that everything's working?
Lovely words. Wayland will be great. I promise. As Byroid is going to come and wreck.
You know what? I'm not even going to pretend to edit this. Good luck. Go. Anyone who watches this video, and warn them that this is indeed seedy location, people. If you're here for card tactics and actual strategy, you're in the wrong place. What this is for is more about discussion around the game of Netrunner and some of the seedy underbelly around that. I'm talking to this lovely gentleman here, Damon Stone. Would you like to introduce yourself, please, Mr. Stone?
Hi, I am the former lead designer and developer of Android Netrunner.
Yes, I find that former part to be quite pertinent to this conversation, sir. Extremely pertinent. I don't know if I'd have got this interview with you if you were still the head, but either way.
No, absolutely. I would have given it to you.
Oh, excellent! Thank you. That's very kind-hearted of you. Yes. Now, a lot of announcements have happened before I booked this interview with you. So there is the changing of the guard, I would say, and then all of a sudden, the very second that I linked the script to Michael Boggs, the new lead. Well, I consider him the new lead anyway. You just announced You've just announced the new terminal directive thing. It leaked the very second that my interview was due for you. That I find that highly strange, sir. Highly strange. Yes. Okay. So
I don't know what to tell you about that.
Okay. Well, I do. I'm quite excited now. When I interviewed you, you said you'd play this quite straight, and I thought, okay, because of that, I'll have to up my CD level quite a bit. So. Now I feel I get a decent game out of you, if this is what I expected. You've got one plot twist in there already. So, okay. Let's begin. Okay, so I've got my words here carefully prepared by NBN. I've welcomed you. So you're playing the role of the company line here, I believe. A very interesting choice off the bat. I was expecting pure company line here, but you've given me a little bit of madcap, even if it was unintentional, sir. You've given me a little bit of madcap, and I highly appreciate this. I will adjust my CD levels accordingly. Right, so question 1. I want to talk to you about your life's effect on the game. Now, the way that I want to phrase this question, I'll try and phrase it very carefully, because I was going to change the phrasing depending on my CD level. Okay, George R.R. Martin, who wrote Game of Thrones, in case anyone doesn't know.
Yes.
He referenced that he normally kills off all the characters. All the characters just die. They just normally die, except for one. He noted in one interview that Arya Stark has got some level of protection for at least for a little while, because his wife was in love with the character and just wanted him to not kill that character. So I was wondering if maybe your wife or some other family members have maybe protected one of the characters from any kind of horror.
I would have to say no. Not at all. No one's safe.
Okay, and so none of your loved ones have had any effect on any card designs. Would you?
Oh well, I didn't say that.
Ooh, okay.
Certainly no effect on keeping anything safe. But Jackson Howard is patterned after my nephew. The new terminal directive runner for Shaper is patterned after my niece. The criminal terminal directive runner is patterned after a good friend of mine who lives in Boston. So I definitely take ideas, people I know, situations, politics, news, and find ways to incorporate them into the game.
Interesting. Thank you very much for that. Now, hey, wait, what? Why have you done that? Why have you done that? Oh no, you didn't. Oh no, you didn't. Well, it seems I've been broadcasting nothing but your wonderful face on both my monitor screens, which is perfectly fine. So while I fix that, I shall move on to the next line of questioning. Oh, okay. Now I've killed your. Now I've blanked you out. There we go. Back to normal. Excellent. So what I want to ask you next is. Most seedy indeed. Most seedy indeed. Okay, now, can you comment on your or any FFG appearances in media? Because during my traces, I've noticed Lucas giving a lecture on when he gave an old lecture on game design when he was first developing Android Netrunner, and I've noticed how you are very prominent in media as well, and I highly appreciate that. I'm hoping Michael Boggs continues this. Yeah, and again, it's a real boost. I enjoy it, and yeah, again, thank you, sir. Thank you. So I want to know what led you. Okay, so can you comment on that on because in most other media, especially like I think about Magic the Gathering, I don't see many prominent. And it's maybe it's a team effort, so a whole different company. You can't comment on that, but can you comment on the appearance in media? That how do you feel that how does the company feel about that?
Well, I think that for the most part, designers, developers, art directors, everybody who works on games has a tendency to try and stay out of the public eye a little bit. Mm-hmm. You have fans who are fans of the game and are some amazing and wonderful people, and then you have other people who feel that you personally owe them something, and yes. So if you don't do things that they like, they will. They'll run you into the ground on social media. When it was announced that I was leaving FFG, someone went on my personal Facebook page and made a pretty disparaging comment. And like that is part of the reason why so many people in the gaming industry, just choose to avoid pretty much any contact that is not in a very regulated fashion. I've always tried to make myself available, but things like that have made the desire much more hard to justify. Much harder to justify.
Yeah, and I can again, which is why I phrased the question as your bravery towards appearances, because I think it's mad considering. I mean, I am me, and I try to temper that because again I realize that you are doing a very difficult role, and I try to give myself check my privilege here because again I don't have to. When every time I came up with a crazy design, I don't have to answer to anyone, and there's not a business behind it, and it's not my job. It's just what I do for fun. You have responsibilities, checks, and balances, and again, you don't owe anyone anything, and I appreciate the work you do, and I find it very amazing, even being able to talk to you. So, you can't speak for Lucas, but do you know anything about how because I know you gave a whole talk about how he developed Android Netrunner. Do you have any idea how those kind of things happen? Because I've never actually seen anyone from a board game company give talks and lectures like that, because that kind of thing would interest me, because I'd like to know if there's any other kind of things where that happens.
Well, I've spoken on a few panels regarding game design and world design and balance and stuff at different conventions. Lucas was actually, if I remember correctly, contacted, I believe it was like a New York University who ran that particular lecture. So they contacted him directly asking if he would be interested in talking about it. So that would fall into that category of things I would say is a little bit more regulated and easier controlled. Getting designers and developers and art directors and graphic designers and such to speak on those kinds of terms is usually just a case of making sure that your schedule matches up with theirs.
Okay.
So, anybody who has a convention or does game design classes in a university should be able to reach out to any local designers or anywhere else in the country and see if something can be worked out. It's usually not too difficult.
Excellent. That's very promising, because I could just sit there watching lectures like that all day. I disagreed with most of it, but again, I cannot. Again, I disagree with a lot of your design decisions as well, but I cannot argue against the sanity of them. They make sense. I cannot disagree on that. They make perfect sense. I just disagree with the direction, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that each designer has a direction that they want to go in, and then the game, of course, has a primary thrust, and like the game is this thing here, and as a designer, I want to go in this direction, but Lucas might want to go that way, and I might go that way, and Michael might go this way and that way. It's
of course.
As long as it's all moving in the same direction as the game, it's good to go.
Of course. Again, I fully agree with that. Okay. Okay. I've already leaked into the third question. Then talking on Facebook groups is a very brave move, so I'll skip that question. So you've made I remember you talked about making or developing Reina Roja.
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, why did that design space stop? Because it was not the most easiest thing to use the chess pieces, but it seemed very unique, because there's lots of stuff. The only other stuff that I've seen really host on ice is Parasite. So I thought, why not have more stuff like that? Like Knight, for example. That was a very excellent breaker for Anarch, because my feeling towards Anarch has always been that if they get access, they are the most devastating runner to have access to your servers. But again, I tend to find that their breakers are, well, the level of access is very low compared to Criminal, who feels should have early access, and Shapers who have more consistent access. I always thought that Anarch access was very anarchic in the beginning of the game. So when I saw Knight, and it was, okay, sure, you can get access, but you have to set it up so you can get the access. And it was very, can I do this? I can't make this move. Can I make this right move? So what happened with the design space there? And what lead you to design Reina the way you design Reina?
Well, the idea with Reina and the Kaisa suite, her chess breakers, was really geared towards a style of control that I thought was really interesting for Anarch. The reason why it didn't get more things along those lines is that Lucas wanted to go, or I should say, took the game in a direction where I didn't think that those cards were going to be meaningful in the way that I personally was hoping to see them explored. So ice destruction became a bit easier to do, and a bit lower cost on the part of Anarch. And the idea originally with Reina and her chess pieces was, because I'm hosting my programs on your pieces of ice, the only sure way of getting rid of them was to trash your own ice. And that's what coupled with her idea of, well, every time you raise a piece of ice, it's going to cost you more. So she hits you from both ends. She's making you trash your own ice, and she is making you pay more, to res the replacement ice that you had to install to begin with to even trash that piece of ice. But the direction for Anarch just got simplified, I think is the easiest way of saying it. And as an end result, that style of play from Anarch was not going to be as useful, and therefore not as well played. It's going to require too many hoops to make it work. I think it, in the end, would have been a better choice. As everybody knows, there's a ton of ice destruction that's available. Not a lot is particularly difficult. And it's put a real press down on the way that people are designing corp decks these days.
Oh, yes.
And, but if it's like a genie. Once it's out of the bottle, you can't really push it back. That said, at the time, I think Lucas had the right. He made that choice for the right decisions. Anarch was falling way behind. It didn't have a really strong presence outside of like noise, virus shop decks, and it was a way to have them, suddenly show up. But similar to NBN, they ended up getting a little too much, a little too soon. That was too synergistic. And as an end result is we've had, about 2 years where Anarch has, reigned supreme.
Okay, I'm just going to adjust my camera here now, because I'm going to get into the meat of this now. You have hit upon, you've fallen into my trap now. Okay, I've fallen into my trap, as you've noted in the... Okay, everyone, I'm just gonna reveal it now. There is indeed a script behind this conversation. Yes, which is how this leak got out with FFG, I suppose. There is indeed a script to this, and you've played right into it, sir. This does segue into game design, as you note, and I'm going to hit you hard on this one, I'm afraid. Okay. I'm now comfortable. Okay. So, now, I'll leave the Anarch consistency for later on, because I feel that this next question will have an effect upon that. So, I did like Lucas's early design for HB and Wayland, but I do feel that the nerf that HB suffered in the expansion has really hurt it from in the long term. And by that I mean I feel that the number of viable HB and Wayland IDs is very low, and because HB, all that ice requires a lot of money unless you can fire the ABT. I suppose you can. There are glacier builds you can do, and I suppose you can use Nisei, but again I'm a custom box player, so I don't use any techie crap. And Wayland is far too brittle. Okay, it's very strong along certain lines, but again it doesn't have the diversity that I see with MBN, Jinteki, and yeah. Okay. So, to rephrase the question, would you say that Wayland is like having difficulty, and that HB has, well, it has like, would you say it has like only 2 really good IDs? How would you feel about the design space between these factions?
I think that Wayland suffered in the early days from 2 specific things. One, that the way that the base Wayland deck played in the core set was pretty dominating. The idea of like, oh, I could just flat out kill you. All I got to do is land a tag and the game's over. And so there was a lot of push towards people playing Wayland very early on.
Of course.
And I think that we made choices to try and diversify its card base. But at the same time, there was a general concept that Lucas had as far as the philosophy of Wayland, which is they're very much in your face. They are not really about traps. They're not really about trying to trick you into things. They're really just, I'm going to throw up some really big ice and then I'm going to kill you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to make a bunch of money.
Oh, yes.
And so a lot of the cards revolved around themes like that. And so the most interesting place to really design that was not directly in those areas was, advanceable ice, which had its own problems. And I think that it took a while before we were able to land on things like the Seven Wonders ice that allow you to pay one amount of money, no advancement, and get a pretty good piece of ice. And then if you advance it 3 times, you get a piece of ice that is conceptually worth the same cost that that ice would have been if it cost 3 more. So here's a 4 cost piece of ice, and it does all these things, and that's a really good 4 cost piece of ice. You advance it 3 times, and it is the equivalent of a 7 cost piece of ice.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, you lose a little bit of tempo there, but you also don't have to draw into that ice. You don't have to install that ice, and you don't have to either trash a piece of existing ice on that server, nor do you have to pay 1 to 4 credits to put that new piece of ice on a server that already has ice. So it kind of evens out in a few different ways, and I think that is probably the better place for their advanceable ice to be.
Okay, now speaking about that, I do not know if you've seen Benjamin Nee's videos on the subject of advanceable ice, because he did a very interesting. Sorry, have you seen this?
No,
video?
I was just going to say I don't believe I have.
Okay, because he talks about the concept of the early advanceable ice and the new ice which you have now, which is very close to the concept which he coined. I don't know if, okay, maybe you came up with it years before, but yes, he did a whole talk about how when you consider some of the ice, like let's start with ISIL, for example. You could advance that indefinitely. Sure, it would be a very long game. You'd end up with maybe like a strength 12 ice, but you could do that for forever. And he proposed some ice which you can only advance a certain number of times before it reaches a maximum value, and which is what I've seen so far. And again, I thought, so okay, so you haven't seen his video. So I was thinking, I was going to ask if you came up with that after watching his video, but so it seems that you haven't watched his video. So wow, okay, that's very interesting. Life imitating art, imitating life there. So it was, okay,
I've always been a big.
Sorry, go on.
I've always been a big fan of thresholds. The idea of once you reach a certain point, some sort of investment, or you've achieved success up to a certain point, you get a reward for it. It's been in my design in Call of Cthulhu. It's been in my design from A Game of Thrones. So this is just an example of that, that philosophy.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you very much. There's one more thing I want to touch on with that. The conditional nature of HB and Wayland. And by that I mean, you've talked about the synergistic nature of Anarch. I feel that MBN has this issue also, because there's a lot of synergy with tags there, and again, they tend to deliver a lot of tags. And so I feel that Wayland and HB are hurt by this because most of their conditions are not easily met. For example, let's take successful demonstration where the runner has to fail a run. Now, runners nowadays don't tend to fail runs consistently. Okay, during the early game, possibly, yes. But after that, the amount of successful runs I find is extremely high, stupidly so. So, and also if you look at Wayland, a lot of their meat damage is tag based, and Wayland nowadays has issues delivering those tags. And again, it's due to the conditional nature of these cards, which can deliver a lot of benefits. But again, I see the same issue that I saw with the early Wayland ice. It has no threshold, thus you did put a heavy condition upon it. So I'm wondering why there were no more. I'm wondering why there was no thresholds on later cards. I don't know how to word this. Let me pick a card. For example, stock buyback, for example.
Okay.
Do you know you're aware of this card?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Now I have to let the runner. Well, the runner tends to score agendas anyway, and I get money for that. While it's not my favorite card, I felt it was going in the right direction because it had a threshold, because if the runner gets too many agendas, you lose the game. But I felt that you could have pushed it more. You could have... Okay, here's the thing. Why doesn't Wayland get more money? That's my question. Why doesn't Wayland get more money? It needs more money. Wayland should have stupid amounts of money.
Generally speaking, it was decided that there are certain elements of just playing the game that are required to play, and having a faction specialize in those causes problems. So if Wayland is the money faction, that means that they should by rights be having cards that give them more money than everyone else, or accumulate money in an easier fashion.
Yep.
The problem, of course, is that everybody needs money in order to do anything. And the moment that Wayland has a stranglehold and all the best cards for that, it becomes really difficult for them to be anything other than the top faction. And you can see that in numerous other games where, oh, this one is the resource generating faction. This one is the gold generating faction. This is the one that, grabs all of the, the magic mana, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. If there's a faction that gets the primary resource that you need to play the game, they shoot towards the top. The only other thing that tends to equate to it is, the card drawing faction. Card advantage is real in a card game. And so if one faction and only one faction has the ability to draw cards,
NBN. Sorry.
But it's not NBN though. There are, Hasbyrite has the ability to draw cards, and actually
heavily disagree with you there,
to draw cards far more.
I'm sorry, well, I must cut you off there. I'm sorry.
There are 3 different level clearances that would disagree with you.
Okay.
Statement.
Okay. No, that's fine. I'm prepared for this, sir. I'm prepared for this. Okay. Right. Now, if you're talking about CI, I would agree with you, because that is a counting clock. But I feel that is extremely niche. Now...
Well, I'm not talking about CI. I'm talking about the clearances.
Oh yeah, of course.
It doesn't matter whether or not you have chosen to play them in a particular deck that takes away some downside or allows you to leverage them better. The point is that they exist. Every faction should have something to do with gaining some level of card advantage. To put it all in one faction would be a problem. Everyone should have some ways of generating money. If you put it all in one faction, that creates problems. Now, that's not to say that one can't be better than the others. It's just that some level of availability needs to be present for everyone.
Okay, but my point is that MBN's dominance in card manipulation is just so dominant. It's just so prevalent. It's just so in your face compared to the strength of the clearance, for example. If I start with green level clearance, I don't use green level clearance for card draw. I use it just to gain the extra 2 credits when I'm really low on money. And I was just experimenting with it. I was using it because no one else was using it. I think Pad Campaign is even better because it does it clicklessly. And I feel that the that Mumbad card, Sense the Actors Union, again, that does card filtering clicklessly. So does Business Show clicklessly. It's just so... I mean, even with after 2 turns, the amount of control you get after 2 turns is just staggering versus that one use that the clearances give you. And don't even get me started on blue level clearance. I mean, it's nice, but for a double, the amount of time it takes up from your turn, sure, it saves you that little bit of time with drawing the cards and getting a little bit of money, but I don't feel it gives you enough money or enough card draw for the burst and a double. But again, you can't make it
Gives you,
sorry.
it gives you 5 units to 2. Well, to 3 if you want to include the click of paying.
I do
Of
include
playing,
that, sir.
of playing the card.
I do include.
So it,
Sorry, go on.
but it's still an incredibly efficient way of getting the 2 things that you need: money and cards. So the
Well,
question isn't whether or not it's present; it's whether or not you have managed to make a deck that will allow you to take advantage of it. And Cedar is a great ID specifically with the clearances in mind.
of course, and I will not argue that at all. What I will argue, however, is what you said there, with the deck in mind. Now, it is much easier for me to conceive of a deck that uses hedge fund than a clearance, because that extra credit is just so, that extra burst of 4 credits is just so easy, because it's one click and it's there. Once you've got the 5 credits, it's there. However, when you use blue level clearance, you only have 1 click left to manipulate. And again, if you've got a handful of cards that you want to keep, and then you draw 2 more, it can be quite troublesome to solve that in 1 click. However, if you have a handful of cards and you have the hedge fund, you've got extra credits and you still have the cards there. You don't have to worry about anything, and you've got 2 clicks to sort everything out. That I feel that gives you more flexibility and more maneuverability to do stuff. That's my
It's
issue.
something that plays into your personal style. That plays
Okay.
into your personal style.
Okay. I'll concede we'll
I can
disagree.
think of
So go on.
I can think of several opportunities where I've had in different decks where I've had that hedge fund, and what I really needed was money and cards. I was going to play the money because that was the one that I had, but I was now looking to try and find my, the one that was going to allow me to draw into the stuff that I needed. And so clearances don't go in every deck. That would be silly. You
Okay.
don't want to accelerate. You don't want to accelerate your draw for every single corp deck, but there are definitely corp decks where you want to get through as fast as possible, because you need your big guns. You need the right pieces of ice. You need to find your agendas before the runner can. And the ability to gain money, which you always want to have, and to draw cards, is a click compression that can't be duplicated by any other corporation. And that's what HB is all about. It's all about how am I going to make my clicks the most efficient things possible.
Again, but I find that other factions can do stuff far more efficiently than Haspiroid. Okay, I will agree that Haspiroid can tend to do 2 or 3 things at once with click compression, but I find that is outpaced by a faction that does 1 thing clicklessly. I find that having NBN filter cards clicklessly is far more efficient than having the click compression that does many things. I also find that Jinteki...
Absolutely.
I also find that Jinteki's ability to impede the runner by making them lose cards and having to have them spend clicks to draw cards, I find that is a much better form of click loss than HB's actual form of click loss. And
well, HB doesn't really give click loss. HB gives itself more clicks. Like it's about compressing their actions into fewer clicks. And so you're absolutely right. HB cannot do the thing that Jinteki does, and that HB cannot do the thing that NBN does. But NBN and Jinteki cannot do the thing that HB does. And that's where you end up with influence and finding the things that you need to be able to make your deck work. If what you want is, well, I want clickless card filtering, then you either are paying for that with your influence, or you're playing NBN. If that's what you want, you shouldn't be playing HB.
okay, my final words on this, and I'll let you continue after this, but my final argument on this is that the issue is that I don't need to be efficient like HB is efficient, because the way that Jinteki and NBN are so efficient outpaces the efficiency of HB in a lot of cases, I find. Because I don't need the extra clicks with NBN a lot, because I can score out agendas using other means, I find, with a single click. I don't need the extra clicks in Jinteki because I can just make the runner lose their clicks, and that's my form of gaining extra time. And I find that that's what makes me, well, that's what gives me so much these feelings on such occasions, that how can I be this efficient when I'm supposed to be the click gaining faction? I find that the clicks have too many conditionals to be able to not. Okay, I find that the clicks I gain come with too many conditions for them to be of use. That is my final thing. And again, I'm sorry that I'm not phrasing this right. I know you have very valid comments, but I just want to sit down with you and just show you how inefficient these clicks are. Anyway, okay. So if you have any,
I'll tell you what. The next time, I will bring in an HB deck, and I can show you how efficient they can be.
You, sir, have a date. Okay, so sorry that dragged on a bit. Okay, now okay, the Anarch consistency issue. Everyone wants me to ask you about Cypher. I can't pronounce it right. Cypher, the one that lowers Cypher. Thank you very much. The one that lowers ice to 0. Okay, I'm just gonna cut through that because there's no need to go on about that. I'm sorry, everyone, but it's pointless to ask about this. The card is fine. That's not the real issue. You have to kill the Batman. But there is a question I want to ask you about this. The ruling, I believe, that you ruled that when ice becomes 0, even if it's boosted by some kind of outside effect like experiential data or patch, that also becomes 0. Is that my understanding?
Possibly. So what Cypher is doing is it takes whatever the ice's current strength is, turns it to 0.
Okay.
It does not give it a negative. It just reduces it to 0. Anything that is added after that has happened is added on top of the 0.
Okay, see that's
so you can think about it like PEDMAS, right? So you have your multiplication and your division stuff that you have to do first. In this particular case, what you're doing with Cypher is you take a look at what that ice's current strength is, and then you apply Cypher's effect. It turns it to a 0.
Yes.
After that, any additional effects that come online are going to get added on top of that.
And see, that's my issue right there. Because that does seem to lean in towards this Anarch consistency issue, because it could be argued that Cypher could just make the ice's strength 0 and just ignore any additional things added onto it.
It can't be argued that way.
And I feel that
any current effects all would say, add +1 or +X or whatever to, an ice's strength. Yep. It would use the exact same wording that Cypher and its reduction would be. So it's like this is adding it to that strength. This is taking strength and turning it to 0.
Yeah. But see, I feel that would be. I feel that having it noted in the FAQ would be actually good. Having it ruled that way, because that adds. I feel that adds a lot more. I feel it makes us much better for the game as a whole, because the way it's currently ruled, everyone's just parasiting through the ice, and it can be quite devastating if you've got this lovely strength 10 ice that you've just spent ages getting money for and trying to res. Okay, they reduced it to 0, but you've got this other thing keeping it alive, stopping it from being automatically killed. I feel that's better for the game, and because the way it is now, it's just I built an exile deck that's just clone chips, parasites, and Cypher, and it's heartbreaking that I can get through ice without having to worry about breakers. It's heartbreaking. I mean, at least if it was.
It sounds like they should probably be running something that prevents you from recycling that parasite again and again and again.
Yes, and they should, and that's what Arc Lockdown.
I would say there are multiple cards that do it, and now there's a whole ID that does it.
Okay, agreed. I agree. There is. But okay, I'll go. That's the thing I want to talk to you about. Actually, that's what I want to talk to you about. Now, I love Arc Lockdown. I love that card. Blacklist, I'm not the huge fan of. Cronus Protocol, I quite enjoyed myself as well. However, I think that Anarch needs some self-regulation. Okay, let me pitch. I know you're the former head, but let me just pitch you some ideas here, just because I prepared myself for this.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I feel that Anarch's cards should be disappearing from the heap. For example, you use Faust and you discard cards. Okay? I feel that some Anarch cards should make cards disappear from the heap. Even give the corporation a choice of which cards disappear from the heap. Because we have to kill the Batman here. The real issue in the room is levy lab access and same old thing. The consistency levels of Anarch is far too consistent. Because when you put stuff in that heap, it just comes right back. It just comes right back and you use it again and again and again. And now criminals are benefiting from this too. And it's just creating such an oppressive environment for corporations. I mean, if there was more cards disappearing from the heap, at least then you'd have to actually think about, oh, do I want to trash this? Ooh, okay, I can get through now, but it's going to cost me. It's going to hurt me, and it's an Anarch thing to do, to be hurt. But and there's criminals as well. Okay, they're burning through their entire stack, then labbing it again, and I got hit by 3 lab accesses from Geist. Now here's me thinking, okay, he's burned through his lab access. I can now keep him out. No, he does it again. I'm like, okay, fair play, well played. And then I've just about barely managed to hang on. And he does it again! He restarts the whole game again by restarting his stack, and he's just brought back all his breakers, and I can't even, he's not spending any money, he's actually gaining money from making runs. It's like, how does Netrunner work? If you're getting money from breaking through ice, how does the game, that makes no sense. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
It's what criminals do.
But all the time? From the early game to the mid game to the late game? No. So, I'm sorry.
My question for you is, what anti-recursion tools did you have in your deck?
I had Arc Lockdown. I had 3 Arc Lockdowns just so I could snipe that. I also had Best Defense so I could kill the same old things. I had Foxfire to kill all the Link. I had, let me see, what was that other one? So I had Foxfire, I had Best Defense to kill the lab access, I had Arc Lockdown to take care of the lab access, and let me see.
So what did you use them on?
Okay, I used Best Defense to kill the same old thing, so you couldn't just do it easily. I had the Arc Lockdowns ready, but then he played the lab accesses from hand, and then I had 2 Same's Hospitality. So every so often, if I think he had one in hand, I'll try and look for it. But I whiffed on those twice because I tried to go for the account size because he was draining all my money. And again, I was hunting for these cards, Damon. I was hunting for these cards. I was expecting 1, and then I saw 2. And I thought, okay. And then he got me with a 3rd. I mean, how do you defend against that? I had the tech, Damon. I had let me see. What's her name? Miss Mills, just to kill the that one that prevents meat damage and allows the power tap with the trace and removing the tags. I had that as well to kill that. And sorry.
It sounds like he had really committed to a very specific playstyle in his deck, and you were going to be hard pressed to stop him from doing the thing that his deck was designed very specifically to do. And it sounds like you got a little unlucky with missing out on his things. That's usually where I would say damage would be incredibly helpful to include, so that you could remove, large numbers of his cards from his hand at a time.
I had a single Scorch. So I was not going to get the tags. I was too diverse. I couldn't get the tags. Custom Logics has influence, but I couldn't land the tags. But either way, that's not my issue. My issue is the color pie here. Now I realize that some criminals can go late game, but I feel that criminals should not. Okay, they could dominate the early game. That is perfectly fine. Maybe they can have a little bit of spice in the mid game, but I don't think that. I feel that it's bad for the game if criminals can be this oppressive at the late game. And if they can have use recursion this often, it builds up a real consistency issue. Corporations cannot be that consistent. Well, MBN can be that consistent because of the card filtering, but Wayland can't be that consistent, even though they're the tutoring faction. They are the tutoring faction, Damon, and they cannot tutor they cannot tutor that well. They cannot filter that well. And I built a deck, right, with Indian Union Stock Exchange, because of all the custom basics out of faction stuff, and all I would do is just refresh all the money cards and play them again and again and again. But I can't affect the runner if I build that way. I feel that runners can not only manage their economy better, they can manage their aggressiveness better, and they can do it consistently better than the corporations, well, except for MBN. And I think it's a real issue, and you can't duck this issue, Damon. I know you can't duck this issue with your suave, kind words. You cannot. This is a real issue. Okay, it's not your issue anymore. It's Michael Boggs' issue, and I'll get them on this. But I do feel that having criminals this effective in late game is bad for the game. I do feel that Anarchs consistently not having to worry about stuff. I mean, okay, reducing hand size by 1 for 1 turn. Okay, you acknowledge that it's a very strong effect. I would have gone for reduction down to 2 because then it puts them into scorch range. Fine. And again, I think the only issue with Cipher is that that you don't reduce all the strength down to 0 and not just the ice strength. That's the only issue I have with that card. Otherwise, that card is perfectly fine. I don't think it's too much at all. It's only the ruling that affects it, and that can be changed. So I have no issue with that. Pardon me, that can be fixed with one FAQ. But
you should lobby Michael about that. Maybe
I would definitely change. Oh no, that's happening. That's already happened. That's in the works. But again, the only way I'm going to lobby Michael to fix Anarch is get rid of their cards from the heap, make them suffer. That's all that Anarch needs, is to suffer. Shaper's fine right now. Criminal just needs to focus on the early game and not be so strong in the late game, except for maybe the one that gets 2 credits when you've got more agenda points. But anyway, sorry, I'm all over the place. Point is, kill the Batman, kill the recursion, maybe make lab access and same old thing 1 of, and you'll see a great improvement in the strength of Anarch and in the strength of criminal. Okay, moving on. I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry to have dragged you through that. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. This tie is not working. Okay. Cycle development. Sorry about this. Okay. Now, San was made pack by pack, as I understand it, and that was Lucas's baby. How did you develop the Flashpoint cycle? Was that roughly the same kind of development cycle, or did you, as I understand, you tested it as one cycle altogether?
Well, all cycles are tested as a single unit. Mm-hmm. When we talk about San and us designing it pack by pack, it was really because each pack had a theme, and we were specifically trying to make sure that the cards in a pack fit that pack thematically. The mechanics did not necessarily all become designed in a singular point. So it would be like, I have a spreadsheet and it's all of the Jinteki cards. I'm like, oh, they have 2 cards in Old Hollywood. What would Jinteki be doing? And so I would create a card that thematically matched that. But that didn't mean that the mechanics behind that were exclusive to that pack. The mechanics might fit multiple, the mechanics might end up matching multiple cards across multiple packs, because that was sort of the place that we wanted Jinteki to go in that cycle. For Flashpoint, it was really just a reimagining of what would a corporation at war look like. Okay. And that was the main thrust thematically. Mechanically, it was about the corpse having the ability to reach out and touch the runner, not always reliant on the runner having to, spring a trap or make a mistake. The corpse actually being able to force something on them. Now, a lot of that in testing ended up getting softened a bit, and I believe that was mostly because the playtesters really could not wrap their heads around the idea that the corpse could actually just straight out affect them. So some cards required sealing agendas or making runs, whereas before they were, pay a certain amount of money and a certain number of clicks and be able to do this thing.
Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Sorry. Oh, that's the whole point. Courts reaching out and touching people. That's what corporations do. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, okay. Well, I'm glad you told me that. At least you had. Okay, it didn't survive testing, but I'm glad you told me that. The thing I want to ask you about is, so controlling the message. There. Okay, that seems like a corporation that does reach out and touch people with tags. Now, Aaron there seems to counter this, and he counters the breaking news. I'm just wondering why Aaron was not in the same pack as controlling the message, because that seems like a very key card to have. That would have changed the landscape of, well, everything really. Do you have any comments on that?
Nope.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that's the correct answer. That is the correct answer. I seem to have hit your vanilla there, so I will have to jack out of that one, and I'll move on. Oh, well.
All I can say is that sometimes cards, we always design more cards than is necessary for a cycle. Some cards get shifted to another cycle. Sometimes cards get shifted back a couple of cycles. And there are times when things in testing don't seem as bad or as meta-defining. Tagstorm had been completely dismissed by the players at large since day one, and so having that suddenly show up as the go-to form of playing NBN was something that I think that we all just did not expect to see. The player group, the meta, just swung left after having turned right for so many years.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Damon.
So Aaron was a card that was always going to be with in some fashion.
Of course.
But the reason it coming out then as opposed to immediately in the same pack or within the next pack of controlling the message was because the Tagstorm just had not been anticipated as hitting the meta or being embraced by the meta so quickly.
Okay, no, that's fine. I can believe that. I've done games development before, and I can believe that. Oh dear. Well, okay, that's fine. Thank you for telling me that. Oh wow. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. You need to come to London quick, sir. You need to come to London quick. You'll see the value of a tag, sir. You'll see the value of a tag. Okay.
Oh, I know the value of a tag. I love Tagstorm. At least I did until everyone else started playing it.
Okay. I need to get you on the record for this. A runner-centric game. Now, you've explained to me, and while again, as I've said in many of my videos, while I disagree with the direction, I cannot argue with the effectiveness of the way you've implemented it. I cannot argue against it. So the runner seems to be the side that has the chance that refreshing. The runner seems to be the side that has the most chance of winning if the game is prolonged. That's the best way I can phrase it. I don't know if you can phrase it. You can probably phrase that better than I can. Would you mind commenting on that again, just to make this get you on the record for this? Because people seem to have issues with this.
Yeah, the longer the game goes, the harder it is for the corporation to keep the runner out of all of their servers.
Yeah. Okay. I've noticed this. Now, again, if I was up against a shaper, I feel that is a fair assessment. That's the way it should be if I'm up against a shaper. if I'm up against a criminal, I would heavily disagree with you. I don't feel it should be that way because that doesn't. I don't. That just.
Well, here's the thing. It's the game mechanics. It's got nothing to do with the cards. It has everything to do with the fact that once the runner has, 3 breakers out, 1 for each type, and any means of gaining money, there is nothing the corp can do to prevent them from getting through a server if they so choose. Like that's literally the heart of the mechanics. It's a primary fundamental aspect of how the game works. And it was part of Richard Garfield's original design. So there are some factions that are going to reach that point much earlier, and that would be Shaper. Shaper's ability to get stuff out, to discount it, and have efficient breakers. It's kind of what they do. So Shaper is going to hit that late game in a more mid game place. Criminals breakers, they're not that great. They're not good for that sort of thing. They are usually in the way that they boost, or they're inefficient in the way that they break. Criminals' personal strength lies on the very, very early game and the ability to jump over ice or derez a piece of ice when you only have 1 piece of ice protecting.
Okay, you've hit my trap. You've hit my trap there, sir. You've hit my trap there, sir. I would have agreed with you in the early games, but nowadays I disagree. While you are correct, that is the heart of the game, that you get all the breakers out and then the runner can access. If all factions can do this, they lose that unique flavor. Criminal.
No.
I'm sorry. I must agree with you on this because as I just discussed with you, this Geist deck, was able to not only access my servers at will multiple times per turn, they always have more money than they start off with, and not only could they do that, they could consistently refresh their deck to do it again, and
using Shaper cards.
Well, using a Shaper card and access and sorry.
Well, 3.
Yeah, so using Deja Vu, using lab access, and using the same old thing to just in case if they need to do it again from any place, and they could consistently get anything they needed, just so consistently. And I don't mind the Deja Vu because that required some time to set up, and you'd actually have to wait a turn. So then I'd have a scoring window. But with everything else, I had 0 scoring windows. And I felt that the traditional game just broke down at that point. There was no early game, there was no mid game. It was just done at such an early start.
That hard to believe. I find that hard to believe.
I have videos, sir. But again,
well, Levy AR costs 5 credits, and it shuffles your heap into your stack. There had to have been an early game and there had to have been a mid game in order for that card to be actually useful, used 3 times in a row.
The early game consisted of 7 turns. The early game consisted of 7 turns, sir. 7 turns. That's
about how much an early game should be. It should be somewhere between 5 to 8 turns. That is the early game. And the mid game starts happening around 6 to 12.
Again, but when they can, but that's my issue. I don't mind Criminal being strong at the early game. I don't mind that he could just inside job my agendas and score them before if I only have 1 piece of ice. I don't mind that. I don't mind that he could account side for me over and over and over again to keep me in that state. I don't mind that he could shut down my ice. I do not mind that. Believe me, it hurts me, but I don't mind that. What I do mind is that when I do manage to fight through all that stuff, he can still set up and consistently access during the late game. Being effective, so effective because of the recursion, that issue can be solved. I find that disheartening. That's the main crux of my issue. Because of recursion, so many decks become viable when if the recursion was gone, Shaper would still have that effect throughout the game, which is fine. That's the way I feel. That's the flavor they should have. And I find that Anarch, they have no downside. Oh dear, I've lost the cards. Okay, I'll just get them back. There's no fear. There's no anarchic nature, and again, criminal becomes effective throughout the game. Without the recursion, then the flavors are retained because it's not as consistent. They have to plan, they have to strategize, and the corp can still be attacked because they have the ability to attack, but now it's a finite resource. Now they have to think about it. That's my key. That's the crux of my argument. They no longer have to worry about it because it's so consistently done. That's the crux of it.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't have these problems.
Okay, fair enough. No, again, it's just me. No.
I'm not saying it's just you. I'm just saying that sometimes you have bad times you run up against a deck that is just, really difficult for your deck to face off against. If I were facing off against a deck like that, I would definitely be looking to play something like Jinteki, Potential Unleashed, where I am eating through his hand and eating through his deck. And recursion only does you any good if it's not in the heap itself.
Okay.
That's what I would be looking at for, if I knew I was going to be facing a bunch of recursion decks.
Well, I can't argue against you because I did start playing Netrunner around the national champion. So, I did play Netrunner I did play Netrunner with guys like Alex White and the guys he plays with. So, again, and I do play in London with Benjamin Nee and all the other best players in the country. So, again, I might be a bit biased when I tell you these things. So, forgive me.
Well, you're facing a top player with a top deck. That's gonna happen too.
Okay, so I'm just gonna move on to here. I've gone through Cypher. Okay, I'm gonna skip that part. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 2 more questions before I go on to the last section here. So, R&D defense. That's the thing I want to talk to you about now. I find that attacking R&D has, well, especially with medium, Jinteki has snare and shock. Okay? And I find... Amongst others, yes. Now, Wayland has Space Camp and MBN has the that News Team one, which is fine. But why can't HB have a card like that? That maybe makes them...
Oh, HB has black level clearance.
Oh, okay. That's the black level clearance. That's internal directive. But
Yes.
now, okay, that's good. Okay, I'm going to move on to that. That's fine. You can spoil that later on if you're... I'm going to hold on to that, sir, because you've given me more madcap answers than I can have. So I'm going to keep you on topic here. Now, as far as I understand, clearance cards, they draw cards. Okay, and if you're trying to state that drawing cards is a form of R&D defense. Okay, fair enough. I can see that. But I want more cards like Seedy Location Scan, for example. Okay? That, if they can either lose a click or take a brain damage. And, again, why can't there be more cards like that in the game? Because Snare and Shock and so on, they have a very direct influence on the runner. That can be a form of gaining clicks, in fact, because you make the runner lose clicks. It's such a good form of click loss versus the Biroid Ice. I don't know how to describe this. If you're when you're running with Jinteki, you have to be prepared to run, and that makes the runner think about it. But against other types of decks, you're just accessing it without any fear. Okay, sure, they could have a shock in it, but chances are low. So I'm wondering, is there a specific reason why there's no other cards like Shock or Jinteki in other factions?
Yes, because that would defeat part of Jinteki's color pie. Jinteki is the trap faction. It's what they do.
Oh, okay. You want to talk to me about color pies? Okay. So if they had a card that was not Shock, that was not Snare, sorry, but a HB card that made them lose a click or take a brain damage when they accessed it, and if you pay maybe 5, let's say, that would be infringing upon Jinteki's color pie, in your opinion, or your view, sorry.
I would say it's definitely within Jinteki's color pie. That's not to say that they couldn't have it. It would probably be the only real example of that sort of thing. HB's way of handling that sort of thing is with upgrades.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the upgrades are so conditional in nature once again. Ryan Knight. I mean, runners running without clicks is okay. It does happen, and then you have to pay 2 to give them a brain damage. And more often than not, the runner will get access to the upgrade before it actually does anything. And it's just far too inconsistent. The consistency that Jinteki has versus the consistency that HB has is just it's just so different. It's just so different.
Yes, because you want HB to be Jinteki. It's not going to happen. If you want to do Jinteki things, you need to use Jinteki cards. If you want to do something like it, but not as efficient and not have to pay the influence, then you use your version of it. That's the whole point of influence in the game. If you want something that's like share or snare or something that's like shock, then you need to use snare or shock.
Okay.
Or deal with the fact that you're going to get something that is going to be not as efficient.
Okay, allow me to rephrase it.
For Ryan, I'm sorry, for Ryan Knight, he's intended to specifically work with bioroids. So it's great. You want to click through, you don't want to have your breakers, so that's wonderful, but then Ryan's going to smack you down.
Okay, I would agree with you, but I found that runners have consistently just broken through bioroids now. They just consistently break through them without spending the clicks. That's my main issue. My issue is that I want to consistently be able to steal clicks from the runner. Or deliver deliver at least 1 or 2 form brain damage, maybe.
Can't happen.
Okay, but that's my issue. Jinteki can consistently deal at least 1 or 2 net damage. Jinteki can consistently pull off traps. HB cannot consistently steal clicks from the runner. HB cannot consistently deal brain damage. HB cannot consistently can gain 1 click, so I'll give you that. That's fine, but it cannot consistently do all its other things within its color pie. That's my issue. Jinteki can consistently do its things, but HB cannot consistently do its other things, especially with the bioroids and the way ice is invalidated nowadays.
I think that you're wrong.
Fair enough. Okay, that's fine.
I think HB is fully capable of reliably doing the things that HB does. But you're under the impression that HB should be able to reliably do brain damage, and brain damage should never be reliable. Brain damage, the moment that HB can just throw out brain damage consistently is, when HB becomes the top faction, because it is technically impossible to recover from brain damage. There are no cards that make it go away. There are cards that add to your hand size, but that's not the same thing. Because if that card goes away and you have more brain damage than your hand size, the game's automatically over. There's no recovery from it.
Okay, I will give you that because there is one ID that can do that. So I will give you that argument and I will agree with that fully. But I do feel that the click loss and that the bioroid effectiveness is an issue because that is... okay, maybe you don't have to be able to consistently take away all their clicks, but if you could consistently take away 1 of their clicks. I mean, I had to try and score that 5-3 to do that, and I had to try and res Ruhr Valley to make them lose a click, or play the enhanced login protocol to make them lose a click.
Yes.
So enhanced login protocol. Sorry.
I was going to say losing a click is a side effect, a side avenue of HB's primary color pie, which is click efficiency. The other side of me having more clicks than you is not always going to be me getting more clicks. Sometimes it'll be taking clicks away from you. But to be able to regularly deny the opponent the ability to, use clicks, again, comes down to a point where the game just starts to becoming overwhelming and oppressive on the part of the HB player. So it's not like they won't ever have the ability to create a click austerity. It's just that it's going to need to be done in a very careful fashion. It should not be completely reliable.
Okay,
fair enough. It's just too powerful to do that. It's essentially denying your opponent the ability to play the game. And I know there are a lot of people say, oh, well, this doesn't even let me play the game. most of those are, hyperbole, and that level of over exaggeration is completely different than if you have 0 clicks. If you have 0 clicks, you literally cannot play the game. There are no actions for you to take. You can't install anything, you can't run anything, you can't generate any money, you can't draw a card. That is different than, I don't have a thing that I can do that is useful. So taking away clicks has to be done very carefully.
Fine, damn it. Curse you and your excellent explanation. Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We've reached these places by trying all the types of things that you're talking about and going, well, that's crazy and too strong and makes the game not at all fun for anyone. Because it might seem fun to you have no clicks, up until the point where you're realizing you are literally playing solitaire because your opponent can do nothing. That stops being fun for both of us pretty quickly.
Okay, well, okay, you're correct, and I'll admit defeat on both these issues. But my final thing is that that I will say that Jinteki has the ability just to end the game in some of their net damage. I feel that if Jinteki has the ability to end the game in some cases on the first turn, in fact, when he went into the wrong card, that I feel that it should be fair that HB should have the ability just to end the game, like CI just ends the game with a 7-point combo or just a scorch kill. I feel that the game could survive that happening. Maybe I feel like if Jinteki can have cards that just end the game, I feel that maybe another faction could have a card that just ends the game. Whether it's Wayland or HB, I feel like one more faction could have that characteristic. But again, as you've explained it, it's not fun for waiting there. But I feel like you can just. Hey, moving on.
Difference. That was just the one quick point on that is that Jinteki doesn't have the ability to just win the game. Jinteki has the ability to allow the runner to end the game for themselves.
Okay, that is a key point.
And it's a very distinct difference. I made a mistake as the runner, and as such, I have died.
Okay,
that is a completely different thing than first turn, game over.
Okay, fair. Okay, I will agree with that as well. I'm afraid I have to agree with that as well because that does actually make curses. Okay, fair enough. I'll get you on the next issue. Right. Okay. That's all that done. Now we get to Terminal Directive. Okay. So, there's been a lovely announcement of Terminal Directive. And you did talk about black level clearance. Okay, before we go into black level clearance, can I ask you about Eli 2.0 as well? Because that's going to be a big one.
You can ask me.
Okay, I'll ask you, just get out of the way. Okay, Eli 2.0, is that a card?
Perhaps.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, if you're gonna be that vague, I'll move on. Okay, black level clearance. Can you tell me about black level clearance?
I am still under non-disclosure agreement. There is nothing that I can say about things that have not been spoiled.
Oh, microphone. Yep, I can't. Yep, it's gone.
Can you hear me?
Kind of. You've gone a bit quiet though.
Is this any better?
Oh, that's it. That's quiet.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Yeah, I can't. Say anything about a card that has not been spoiled on the website or I've been given permission to spoil.
Of course, no, of course. I just had to ask because that's the nature of this program. Okay.
Fair enough.
Black level clearance. You wish to talk about that?
Yes.
Go for it.
It's incredibly fun. A lot of people, particularly when the rulebook had gotten spoiled for Terminal Directive, were wondering about whether or not it was actually a legitimate translation because black level clearance was marked as an upgrade on one of the deck lists.
Ooh.
And it, in fact, is an upgrade.
Oh,
so
okay.
The other three versions are events, and the idea there is that you're gaining, electrons, and so all three of them show an avatar accessing, a secured area. Black level clearance shows a person going through severe biometric scans, so eye, hand, skin, and there's a gun pointing directly at their head, because if this person is
this is the picture.
If this person, if they don't have the clearance to be there, they are terminated. Black level clearance means that you should not even know that this thing exists. So trying to access without clearance just kills you.
Is that Stephen Cambridge?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a random HB employee who is there for a particular reason. So black level clearance, it's a security protocol upgrade, and whenever there is a successful run on its server, the runner must either take 1 brain damage or jack out. If the runner you gain 5 credits card, and then you clear order res 1 to trash, and it's 5, and its flavor text reads, even knowing the floor existed was cause for termination.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, this is exciting. So I'm just gonna. Okay, you know what? No, I'm not gonna read through this review here, because that's not fair. That's just gonna. You can see my reaction anytime you like. I'm just gonna finish off asking these questions, and then I'm gonna read through this announcement of Tumblr Directive. So there's the last thing. Okay, we get into the mystery questions, which most of them I'm sure are going to be no comment, which is perfectly fine. So, Seedy location scan. So after our discussion about click loss and brain damage, I trust that Seedy location scan is never going to be a card.
Well, I'm not going to be responsible for it because I no longer work for FFG.
That's fine. Do you think that if I somehow magically won Worlds, that allow me to make Seedy location scan?
I'm pretty sure that they would allow you to work with Michael to come up with a card that does something similar. Whether or not it is that exact card or not, I can't say. But you have to remember that the prize is not you creating a card.
Of course.
The prize is you work. Yeah, it's well, this is for anybody else who's watching who has won or might win Worlds.
Okay.
It is for you to work with the designer to design a card. So if you have something already in mind and it's fully fleshed out, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Fair enough. Thank you. Okay, now I want to know, me drinking Stone's green ginger one, that was completely accidental, by the way. As I was drinking that way before you became the lead designer, it was just a happy coincidence. I haven't weirded you out of that at all, have I?
No, not at all.
Excellent. Okay, Worlds. So will you be at this year's Worlds at all?
Honestly, I don't know. I hope to be able to attend. Okay,
because
it's still too early for me to make any promises.
Fair enough. Because I'm trying to. I'm saving up to go there myself, so that's the idea. So I was hoping to meet you there and get a hug, but that can be for later. Okay. What was rotation about again? Oh dear, I can't remember rotation, so I'm going to skip that. Jackson Howard. Hope he dies.
Yes.
There we go.
Hey, that's my nephew.
Well, okay. So
you mean the card?
The card. Yes, the card. Very. No, yeah, the card.
As a character, Jackson Howard is way too fun for him to die. His card will rotate out. He will probably appear in some form, though his card ability certainly will not.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, tie straightened. Back to reality. Okay, mini factions. Now, I like mini factions. and I see there's more cards being released for the mini factions.
Mm-hmm.
And I've forgotten the question, so I'll skip it. Okay. And the magic. What was the magic question? I've forgotten all these questions now. Okay, no, I had all these questions down. They're all gone. It's gone. I'm sorry. I'm too happy right now. I'm happy. I've enjoyed this conversation with you, Damon. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. I want to thank you for the black level clearance discussion. I'm gonna read this announcement now. You are free to stay on. You're free to comment as well. I'm just going to literally read this out now, and I'm going to just give my opinion, and here it goes. So, are you going to stay? Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So, your clearance has been granted. You can now preview the corp cards for Terminal Directive. Finally! Here we go. Okay. Delgado crossed her arms and looked at the ground. It was a biroid that did this. Yeah, of course it's a biroid that did it. Frank stared. No way, biroids can't kill. They've got those directives. What if I can't pronounce that name. Delgado.
Delgado.
Excellent. What if Delgado's right? What would it mean if a biroid actually committed the murders at the heart of the Terminal Directive campaign expansion for Android Netrunner? The answer would most likely depend upon your point of view. In our last preview, we looked at the rules of Terminal Directive campaign and the ways they introduced a brand new experience to Netrunner. Ooh, okay, oh no, it's not that. Okay. But there's far more to the expansion than it's a murder mystery. After all, every mystery needs a crime and a criminal, and someone looking to bring that crime to justice. In Terminal Directive, the form that justice takes is going to depend heavily upon the identity of the man, woman, or corp that delivers it. Is this an identity? Let's have a look. The vid all but proves it, Delgado said. Maybe someone wrote a new directive. Ooh. I love if we see Adam in this or someone like him. Design or destroy. There are 4 new identity cards. Who's going to spoil something there? There are 4 new identity cards in the Terminal Directive, as well as 159 tournament legal player cards. Nice. I appreciate this. I appreciate that. This means that Terminal Directive isn't just introducing campaign to gate. It's serving as an equivalent or deluxe expansion on par with creation control. Yep, that's what I was hoping for. That's exactly what I was hoping for. And with the HB Wayland nature of it, I'm hoping that it brings things into perspective, because from what I've seen, it does promise something like that at least. The Marion campaign alone, that the consistency of that, if it gets trashed naturally, it comes back in. The consistency of that alone is that just makes my heart sing, because again, the recursion that I thank you for that. Thank you. Except
you're welcome.
Except Terminal Directive doesn't focus on just the 2 of the game's factions. Like, the cards just do more than permit new deck designs. The player cards in Terminal Directive are split primarily between 4 factions: Criminal, Shaper, and Haspiroid. And when that's why I heard. Yes, I especially love that it's Haspiroid, Wayland, Criminal, and Shaper, because those are the things that need the boost right now. Because again, once the recursion is there's tops of IDs there. I see tops of IDs. Not going to read them. Once I kill the recursion, and I'm going to campaign hard on this, it'll bring things back into balance. I know this. I'm so Anarch right now. At the beginning of your Terminal Directive campaign, you'll need to elect player, corp, or whatever access. I've already got someone lined up to play this against, so that's fine.
That's awesome. Me too. My wife.
I'm so jealous. Okay, and then access the player cards for your side, mostly because you live with the person you're going to play with. So access the corp cards. You'll need to choose whether you approach the campaign as a highly secretive Seedy Laboratories employee, Terminal Directive, or an aggressive defense contractor, Scorpio Defense. Now, did I see this spoiled already? I'm guessing not. Ooh, a win with 14-15? That's good. That's excellent. Whenever a runner card is trashed from any location, okay, you may force the runner to remove it from the game. This is the idea I was talking about. I was wondering, what were you talking about? I don't remember no idea removing stuff from the game, except for Cambridge, but okay. So whenever the runner card is trashed from any location, you may force the runner to remove it from the game instead of add it to the heap. Use this ability once per... Okay. You, sir, Damon, have my attention now. This is exactly the kind of thing we need. This is exactly it. Anarchs cannot just discard cards willy-nilly no more. They might have to think about it now. My only last thing is, what we need, I feel that it would be beneficial if this ability wasn't just on IDs. Okay, I know it's a powerful ability, but I feel that if Wayland was the faction that could remove stuff from the game clicklessly, for example, like it had this ability but on like a unique asset that cost a lot of money, you had to spend the gen to res it and you had to protect it, I feel that would be a great ability to have. Because
I don't know. I think that would be kind of brutal to be able to put 2 or 3 out there at a time.
No. A unique card. It's a unique. It's unique, and you have to like forfeit the agenda to res it, and maybe make it 5 cost. Something stupid. But once you have that in place, and you start forcing them to trash cards, you get rid of 1 card per turn, because then you could do things like have. EMP, the EMP, so if they run, you give them 1 net damage, they force to trash a card, and they get rid of a card. And that would be, that was it. That was what I wanted to talk to you about. There's 1 card that I think that's for Michael. Actually, this is for Michael. No, I was going to pitch a card over to Michael. I'll say it for Michael. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. To the HB identity. The first time each turn the runner loses or spends a click during the run, you may add 1 card from the archive to the top of... Okay, this is good. This is exactly, yes. Making click loss matter. Okay, now, this is one thing I remember now I want to talk to you about as well. While I'll agree that you can't make the runner lose all their clicks, I do feel that whenever they do lose a click, it doesn't matter. That's my issue. Now, cards like this ID, that's exactly the kind of thing we need. I hope I want to campaign to Michael to get more stuff like this, so that when a runner does lose a click, it actually matters. Because again, you can't make the runner lose all the clicks, but losing 1 or 2 clicks per turn, the runner can easily survive that, especially in the meta now it is. Having abilities that actually make it matter is great. So I hope we see more of that. Thank you so much for that. That's excellent.
You're welcome.
The secrets you keep. As a court player and Tumblr direct, do you have a trace on me? Seriously, because every time I say these things, it's like 2 or 3 months later, you come out with a thing that fixes the issue. But the funny thing is, for you to have made that thing, it has to have come out like a year in advance. So I think you. Thank you, and thank you for admitting the trace. Thank you. As a court player,
I mean, it wouldn't be a trace. I mean, I would have to be able to read the future to know how you'd react to a thing, and then create the cards that you want.
It's the Stone's wine. That's it. You've somehow infiltrated Stone's wine, and you can like hear all the stuff I'm saying drunkenly. Anyway, the secrets you keep. As a court player in Terminal Directive, you need to focus on the task at hand, but you need to keep an eye on the long-term future as well. Let's presume for a moment that Directive Delgado's assumption is correct. If the killer is a Biroid, what does it mean for you? If you're a Spiroid, it means that you've got to work hard to contain the potential of damaging publicity. It might also mean that those with black level clearance. Here it is. Okay, so that's why you were clear to spoil it. I appreciate. Well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you.
Yeah, you knew nothing about it. You knew nothing about. Sure, you knew nothing about it. Okay. Yeah, the time. Oh, the moments. Okay, those are black level clearance, and that let us brain we. Oh, 2 cards. Okay, I'm gonna read the poster first, then I'm gonna click and read it efficiently because my eyes are bad here. The Biroid brains can learn. They can reach out in new models, teach it in short control itself. New Biroid won't need new directives. It will have instincts. Interesting. Love the lore behind that. Love the lore. Right, I'm going to access this now. I love if everything crashes once I access this. Nope, not responding. Yep, computer's crashing. Okay, I'm just going to have to read it off the poster here. Whenever there's a successful run on this server, the runner must... Oh, now it's come up. What that? No, that's just you. Okay. Whenever there is a successful run on this server, the runner must either take 1 brain damage or jack out. Wait, what? Wait, okay. Let me just read that again. Whenever there's a successful run on this server, the runner must either take 1 brain damage or jack out. If the runner jacks out, gain 5, draw 1 card, and trash black. Okay. Damn it, Damon! Stop reading my mind! Stop reading my mind! Just get out of... Thank you. This is... Yes! Make the click... Yes! Because that makes them lose a click effective. That will make them waste a click. That actually matters. Yes, that's pretty much another form of CD scan location. That's just a better designed form of CD location scan. Because... yeah, you take the brain damage or you lose the click, and yeah, that's even better. That's way better than seed location scan. That is way better. And I mean, you think that seed location scan's overpowered? No, this is way better than seed location scan. This is way better. Thank you. That's okay. Yeah. This was all worth it. This was all worth it. Just you're playing me. You've played me like a fiddle, sir. Like a fiddle.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come on! We can't have cards like black level clearance. That'd be too powerful. No, like see location scan. That'd be too powerful. There'd be too much click. That you've just made a better you've just made like an intermediate form of Caprice Nice. They take the brain damage. They remove the thing, and that's consistent. I mean, okay, sure. If you have it over R&D. Sure, they can run HQ, install a political operative, and then trash the black level clearance. But you can res this before and just kill it. It's just a good card. I like this card. This is excellent.
I'm going to enjoy it.
Thank you. If you're Wayland, it means that you've gained a chance to capitalize upon Hasbirod's blunder. If you can capture this Birod killer before Hasbirod gets it, they can't really stop you. Any effort to do so would be an implicit admission of their involvement. Wait. Okay. Let me read the lore behind this. It means that you've gained the chance to capitalize upon Hasbirod's blunder. If you can capture this Hasbirod... Of course! Oh yeah, duh, because the guy with the smile like razor blades wants it for the drones. And I love Hunter Seeker. I love this card because I've always rallied against saying that HB, that Wayland doesn't have enough spot removal. I mean, I feel it should be the removal faction. I don't know why Jinteki got that that honor card where you trace and you can kill an out of faction card. I think once again you've read my mind and given me the card I wanted, and I've expressed my thing of this. I'm not going to go over this again. I'm too many feels right now, so I'm overloaded with feels. I'm just gonna the spiral exists that represents the best chance for you to set some prototype now to build a brain is built before it's split to market, and then you can use a tech to drive your construction of Colossus. Okay, so so I so many cards I can't read. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to bring up another window here. I'm going to transfer it over, and I'm going to read it in that window. That's what I'm going to do, unless my computer crashes. Yeah, you're too much awesome for my computer to handle right now, so that's going to go. I'm going to close the episode of Blackish, because that can wait. There we go. And then I'm going to bring up the FFG main page here, and I'm going to... This will all be cut out in editing, by the way. So, again, this is so good. This is all so good. I mean, you talk pretty conservative, but the reason why I like your designs especially is because you do push boundaries. That's what I love about your designs. You do push boundaries, and you've consistently done so. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, so Damon, are you still there? Oh dear, he's cut out. Oh dear, I've lost Damon. Okay, well, either way, he has given me plenty to sink my teeth into here. So I'm just going to Whenever you score brain rewiring, you may pay X credits to force the runner to add X cards from his or her grip to the bottom of his or her stack. Then, at random, draw 1 card. I like it. The black level clearance sub basement of Hasbyroid is a magical place. Oh, you're back. Okay, I lost you there for a second. Okay, I'm just reading Brain Rewiring, and I love it. Again, one thing I don't understand about Hasbyroid agendas. I feel that when you score them, they don't have that much impact on the game compared to Wayland, NBN and NBN ones, which I suppose is fine. But my main issue is this: Jinteki agendas, when you score them, they don't always do anything, but they defend themselves, which I think is a fair balance. They defend themselves, but when you score them, they don't do much. Conversely, MBN agendas and Wayland agendas, when you score them, they tend to do a lot. And I find that HB agendas, they don't defend themselves, and when you score them, they don't always have a huge impact. Some do, but the 5-3s tend not to. And I think that the issue that the Hasbyroid agendas are having is that the power levels seem not as good, and they don't deliver on that efficiency. I mean, I do love them, I do like them, and I do use them a lot, but I feel that they could be more efficient. I'll bring this up with Michael. I'm sorry, I'm a kid in a candy store right now. Oh god, this is so good. It's good. I like it. Okay. Okay. Now let's go back onto reading this. And now I'm going to read Colossus, because I want to read that one. So yeah, brain rewiring is interesting. A form of inefficiency there. I like it. Colossus. Oh, new ice. So Sentry Destroyer. I love, yes. Strength 4 Sentry, thank goodness. Yes, Strength 4. No, because I'm sorry, but Strength 3 Sentries can go away now, along with Strength 3 Code Gates. I mean, I think Anarch has enough tools now that they can deal with strengths higher than 3. I'm sorry, but you can make more 4s. Colossus can be advanced and has +1 strength for each advancement token. Excellent, thank you. If Colossus has 3 or more advancement tokens on it, resolve the preference text instead. Otherwise, do not resolve it. Give the runner 1 tag, or give 2 tags. Give the trash 1 program, and 1 resource. Bold. Yes, thank you very much, Damon. That's exactly the kind of thing we need. That is exactly it. Okay. Hunter Seeker, I already know. Trash 1 program after trash 1 card. That's exactly the kind of cards we need as well. Thank you once again. I'll stop thanking you as soon as you stop doing all these excellent things. Right. Naturally, the word that NAPD are investigated is possible Barrowed Killer. It has caught attention of executives of both Hasbyroid and Wayland and you. Then it's going to come into some real executive scrutiny. I love how some of these words are big, because I'm sure they mean something, but I don't know what it's alluding to. But it's one of which you'll be well supplied. Oh dear, work is calling. No, I'm ignoring you. I've got a week off. When the likes of Estill Moon, oh believe me, I've had this holiday booked months and months ago. And the plan is finally coming together. None of this is an accident, Damon. None of this is an accident. It's all part of my plan. All part of my plan.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Oh, it's still Moon. Oh, Hasbyroid Executive. Oh, so okay. Good. Okay. Whenever you install a card in a server, place 1 power counter. An excellent start. Trash. Draw 1 card. Gain 2 credits for it. Yes. Finally. A much better version of that Alexis Byroid. A much better version. The only issue I had with that creation and control one was that it cost a click, and that I don't feel that you was gaining the click, and that the money you gained from it wasn't enough. This is excellent. It's all good. It's excellent. Praise be. I've been watching too much last week tonight, but praise be. Yeah. Oh, this is excellent. This is there is a God. Oh, and Mr. Stone! Oh, here we go, finally! Oh, Mr. Stone!
It was not me.
Oh, come on! Why not? It could have been you. Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
You will be. Oh. Mr.
Trust me, if I'm going to be a card, I'm going to be a card in a faction that you're going to enjoy, and it will have a really interesting ability that I think you'll like.
I can't wait to see. I knew which card you're alluding to because that card was partially covered. I look forward to seeing it. Executive. Whenever the runner takes one or more tags, yes! Thank you. This card is perfectly fair, and at 4 influence. Ooh, MBN does have a lot of influence to spare. But you know what? It's fair. That's fine. I like this card a lot. VP of Retirements and Pensions. So that is HR or accounting. Both. I love that text. Oh, that's so good. That is so good. Oh.
I'm glad you commented.
Oh, I do. I shouldn't, but I do. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah. Oh, the flavor text. The people who write the flavor text will have. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. That is so good. That just makes me want to play the bookkeeping one, the one that makes the one I have to trash something every time I install. Just makes me want to play that along with this. So to sup for your honey. So many spoilers. I'm loving this. So to sup your honey farms, follow the paper trail. Okay, let me just move this down a bit to the end. So to set up your honey farms, follow the paper trail. There's a whole deluxe expansion worth of new cards and Directive. All wait until. Now, see, the thing I like about these cards, Damon, is these cards will actually see play. That's the thing I like about this. I don't feel these are silver bullets. These are flexible cards that actually diversify the style, and I thank you for them. There's a whole deluxe expansion worth of new cards. There's a rare control truth. The Directive. The next evolution Android Netrunner experience. Yes, I do feel it is. I can tell. See for yourself expansion. Yeah, because there's so many things I can do with that. I could easily see myself playing these Wayland cards in Haspirid Custom Baltics, and I could easily see Wayland and stuff wanting to slot in these cards. I could easily see it. Pardon me. And that's good. Okay, now I'm gonna read Honey Farms and Paper Trail. I could easily see other factions want to use these cards. Ooh, a neutral one. 0 to res. An ambush. Okay. If Honey Farm access, you lie. You think you got another R&D access card? You just you know there's R&D access cards. If Honey Farm is accessed from R&D, the runner must reveal it. When a runner accesses Honey Farm, he or she. Okay. See, this is okay. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be as aggressive as Jinteki, but this is this. You're fine. Yeah, you're just poking the bear. You just want me to get worked up and excited. Yeah, you planned all this stuff. Okay, that's it. That's the. Yeah,
I don't know what
you planned all this stuff because I leak all these cards. Paper trail. Oh, okay. When you score paper trail, trace 6. If you're successful, trash all the job and collection. Okay, this was going to be a future question I was going to ask.
Sure.
Trash. I was thinking all these job cards, like especially Temujin contract and connection. We've got connection covered, But these job cards, I feel that Wayland should be able to trash job cards because they're connected to the underworld. If anyone's going to about the underworld, it's going to be Wayland because they got all these Seedy connections, and I feel they should be able to trash job cards. And you've answered that with paper trail before I even asked it. This was going to be a future question I was going to ask. I was actually going to do an episode on this, on job cards and stuff like this, all these strong job cards, and you've beaten me to it. So this, I can believe, is purely coincidental. But yeah, well played, and you've just scrubbed an episode of Seed Location. I hope you're happy. You trashed my job. You trashed my job. Okay, Damon, I want to thank you. I'm going to let you go now because I'm way too excited. It's been 2.5 hours, and I've got a lot of material to sift through. Oh my goodness, this has been so great. This has been so great.
Glad you enjoyed the spoilers.
I enjoyed the spoilers so much, and very well played game there. I mean, I didn't think you'd play the madcap developer role so well there. Even if it was unintentional on your part, you've played it really well. You actually forced me to go to responsible journalism and keep you on topic there, which was very well played. And yes, okay, I'm gonna have to spoil the whole. I'm gonna spoil the script, and then let's see how everyone feels about that. And thank you once again. And if you ever feel like a game, so are you allowed to talk about Jinteki Net, or is that something you're not?
Well, now that I no longer work for the company, I can talk about anything that I want as long as it's not specific to upcoming products.
That's fine. So have you ever played on Jinteki Net?
No.
Okay. Well, I highly suggest that you get a Smurf and play some games. Just Smurf. Don't go into yourself because that'll draw too much attention. Just come up with a name, get on Jinteki.net, play some games, and I'll be on there eventually. You can play without me even knowing about it, and it'll be great. It'll be amazing.
I'll consider it, but honestly, like, I have video games to play on my computer.
Okay.
If I want to play Netrunner, I'd rather go face to face because that's where the bluffing and the reading of tells and stuff matters.
Fair enough. I agree with you. I'm like that myself. Okay, no, thank you so much for everything, Mr. Stone. Thank you so much for everything. Please leave because I'm not going to let you go. Just go before I come up with more stuff. Just jack out now. Jack out now while I'm still.
Will do. Thank you very much. I had a great time.
Thank you. Oh God, this is
Bye.
amazing. Bye. Oh, this is amazing. This made my day. Best day ever. Oh my goodness.